Couple of announcements. Reminder, October 8th, there's an all-day sitting. It's also the beginning of the practice period, the opening ceremony. Please, if you haven't sent in your application, I know. It's like, oops, I have to remember to do that. Please send them in. It's been cooking in you, and if you just open the application, you'll know what to say. Trust it.
The teas?
And if you sign up for the practice period, you'll get to sign up for a tea with Constance, who will be our Shuso. So, and there's a sign-up sheet over there, but you can't sign up until you sign up for the practice period. So there. Okay, is that good enough? So, anyway, it's a really sweet thing that it's a chance to figure out a way that it can work in your life so that it's not like some, oh God, how am I going to do one more thing in my life? Figure out how you can do this in a way that it enhances and enriches your life. It's a wonderful chance to come together. So, I thought about different things that I wanted to say or bring here, and I know one thing that I want to bring here is about Martin Luther King and Thich Nhat. But first, my experience of what I just experienced, which was 5 days of a formal pilgrimage with 8 other people, and then Bruce and I went off, continued on together. The combination of what we were experiencing, the depth of it, there really is something to be said for entering hell realms. I mean, it's not something we want to do, and usually you don't choose it, you get plunged into it. But this was to enter the era of, to enter the South and the era of civil rights and the history that led to that. And to get COVID in the middle of it, which it was a really mild case, and I managed to find plenty of things to do that allowed me to be outside and masked and distanced, so it didn't really slow me down. What it did was just make me more tender. So I really do have the physical, emotional, spiritual experience of kind of coming apart, that I came apart. And I've been really reluctant to try to put language to it because I don't want to go back together again, whatever that means. But I was sitting here feeling like, oh, I think I can risk it here because you all are here and can be tender with me. So I don't know what I'm going to say for the next few minutes. We'll just see. We went into Birmingham, Alabama, which was, we went to the Bethel Church. We were meeting, African Americans met with us, the incredible privilege of just that people are willing to meet and want to meet and tell their story. So we were meeting either people of the generation who actually walked with Martin Luther King and with everyone in the Civil Rights March, or we were meeting the next generation who was picking up that work and carrying it on. So we met the pastor of the Bethel Baptist Church where there were bombings. The 16th Street Baptist Church where there were bombings. They called Birmingham Bombingham, that the minister just went by. That's who I'm waving to. And then we went to Selma and walked across the bridge where John Lewis and others were beaten. And then we went to Montgomery, and we went to the Legacy Museum. It used to be called the Lynching Museum. If you have an opportunity to go, you should go. And you should take your children and your grandchildren, and everybody should walk through that American history, our history. And Bruce and I had then planned to go to southern Georgia. I really wanted to. We both wanted to go down into really rural southern Georgia. I've been told, and I believe it, that northern Georgia is more gentrified. But about that time I got sick, and it just didn't feel like a safe or wise thing to do. But I got to spend some time outside learning the indigenous history of that area, which is equally devastating. And the land is so beautiful. Nature, I don't know about how it is for all of you, but nature saves me. The air and the green and the water and the birds. And went to Okefenokee, the alligators. Okefenokee Swamp made me cry. I was ready to cry, but that's the beauty of it, that you can realize the wonder of it. But we also did spend a little time going through on the way down through. I thought of you, Patty. Through rural, deep South Georgia. Wasn't far from where Alice Walker was born. It's amazing how many treasures that came out of Native Americans. It really kind of came out of hell realms. I mean, it's just, it's the history of lynchings is just blown away by what human beings do to each other. I'm stopped and speechless and full of grief. And I'm stopped and speechless and full of wonder and beauty. It's amazing what human beings, bodhisattvas are real. I mean, they're us, and there are human beings who did amazing and who do amazing things, really out of love. I just have to say, I don't understand any of it, and I don't think it is understandable. But I think sometimes it's important to take ourselves out of our everyday lives and to let it touch us really deeply. And COVID was part of that for me, because I was saying to somebody, health. I'm a strong, energetic. I mean, that's my identity. It's my karma. I didn't do anything to deserve it. But suddenly, it was a mild case of COVID, but I just didn't have any defenses against anything. So it all just went in. And I feel really grateful for that. I feel really grateful for that. I don't know how people live this life without some kind of faith. Not that's something, but some faith or knowing that there's something bigger and deeper that you commit yourself to. Because otherwise it's just, I mean, and I'm as blown around as anybody, but without some really deep vow, I don't know how people do it. I'm just, what the, am I talking loud? Am I okay, or should I talk louder?
No, you're okay. I didn't wear my hearing aids.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
I'm just doing this.
Oh, okay, good, okay. I can't even begin to understand how people together, individually but together, what people can do to meet suffering and to meet hatred and to meet what really did seem to me in moments, oh, there really is evil. And I don't know what that means, but there's some place where something tips beyond and something takes over. But as much as that happens, goodness takes over, because that's who we truly are. So I guess then what I want to do is, I was flying home yesterday, and I was on the airplane studying for the practice period for the Lotus Sutra and Thich Nhat Hanh's commentary, and of course I knew that you all had been, and I want to thank and acknowledge Erica and Chelsea and Marilyn and all of you. I've been reappreciating Thich Nhat Hanh as a teacher, and how much he brought, how much he changed the language of Buddhism for all of us, I think, and brought it close. I can't remember where I saw it. Anyway, the feeling that what Thich Nhat Hanh did was he before that, bodhisattvas were like high beings. I mean, they still are. There's Manjushri, and there's Samantabhadra, and there's Avalokiteshvara, and these kind of shining beings. But Thich Nhat Hanh apparently maybe it says in here. Maybe we'll find that it is in here. We'll see. He really consciously wanted to say, bodhisattvas are human beings, and they're us. That was a choice that he made, and he's influenced us so deeply, and how much he didn't want it to be just monastics or some kind of tradition shut away someplace, but that it's here, and how we act and how we be in each moment really matters. So anyway, I was flying home and reading his commentary on the Lotus Sutra, and both arguing with it inside of me, having seen so much suffering. It's like there's a part of me, I don't know about you, but there's always a part of me that it's like, just get over all your religious stuff. It's like there's suffering. It's really hard here on earth. And then also being so grateful, because I don't know how we'd be here on earth without some bigger, more open, embodied knowing that there's more than what we crazy human beings sometimes do to each other. I'm looking forward to the Lotus Sutra. But then I remembered that Thich Nhat Hanh and Martin Luther King met, and that it was a really kind of pivotal, moving meeting for the two of them that was really brief but powerful across traditions. So I wanted to, there was a book that was written about it, and I wanted to read you some of that, what happened in that meeting, the description of it. But I wanted to start with this shared screen, which you in the room will have to see on the screen. There's this picture of the two of them in 1966 in Chicago. Can you see it? If you just want to come up for, I can turn my computer around too. They're both so young.
Who's the third person?
I don't know. Someone who was at the conference. So let me, their first meeting was in 1966. A.J. Muste, working on behalf of the Fellowship of Reconciliation. I remember that from back then. I don't know what happened to it since then. We can take that down now. Arranged a meeting between Thich Nhat Hanh and Martin Luther King in Chicago on May 31st, 1966. They conferred privately for some time, discussing the latest crisis in Vietnam, and then held a joint press conference at the Sheraton Chicago Hotel. The paradoxical nature of this meeting is that there are no detailed notes on the private conversation, and no transcript or recording of the press conference is known at this time. It's like now we look back on it and go, wow, but nobody even bothered to listen or write it down. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Thich Nhat recalled, quote, "We had a discussion about peace, freedom, and community, and we agreed that without a community, we cannot go very far." I want to say that again, because that's what's stressed through all this. We agreed that without a community, we cannot go very far. Something happens that's bigger than the sum of the parts when people get together with deep intention. In the same way, something happens that's bigger than the sum of the parts when people come together and forget who they are and what's important, and then something evil takes over. The main artifacts of the 1966 meeting are the photographs from the press conference that we just showed. The power of these photographs is felt immediately. The men have an intensity of expression, and their youthful energy radiates from them. If the photographs can be considered to have iconic quality, what this person says is it would be a friendship and solidarity. Did you see that? Should we put the picture up again? Why don't you put the picture up again? They are not two men or human beings working on isolated issues. The message is their commitment and their common cause. They met and something happened. They saw the bodhisattva in each other. Across cultures, across colors, across cultural conditioning. At some point that day, likely during the press conference, they released a joint statement, and the statement said, "We believe that the Buddhists who have sacrificed themselves, like the martyrs of the civil rights movement, do not aim at the injury of the repressors, but only at changing their policies. The enemies of those struggling for freedom and democracy are not man. They are discrimination, dictatorship, greed, hatred, and violence which lie within the heart of man or each person. These are the real enemies of human beings, not human beings themselves." We also believe they met for the first time, and they so completely, there was no separation. We also believe that the struggles for equality and freedom in Birmingham, Selma, and Chicago, as in Hue, Da Nang, and Saigon, are not aimed at the domination of one people by another. They are aimed at self-determination, peaceful social change, and a better life for all human beings. And we believe that only in a world of peace can the work of construction, of building good societies everywhere go forward. We join in the plea written June 1st, 1965 by Thich Nhat Hanh in a letter to Martin Luther King. Do not kill man. I'm going to say do not kill human beings. Even in human beings in the name, even in man's name. Please kill the real enemy of human beings which are present everywhere in our very hearts and minds. Common cause is made between those in the Vietnamese peace movement and the black civil rights activists. Living in, quote, beloved community meant for King living in what he called the world house. And as Thich Nhat Hanh would express it, becoming a citizen of the world. They both knew that what they were doing was bigger than their own cause. King believed that living in the World House didn't mean abandoning his national and local causes. But he also stood for international causes too. To make this statement together on their first meeting was an extraordinary beginning to their relationship. At the May 31st, 1966 meeting, with its private conversation followed by a press conference, we may say that Thich Nhat Hanh and King began a friendship that is at the heart of the beloved community to which both men dedicated their lives. So I really want to notice here, as we sit in Sangha, as we sit and we practice separately and together, that community, they both stress the importance of community that is both local and completely interconnected with the whole world, and they both recognized it. So their last meeting was in 1967 at the World Council of Churches in Geneva, Switzerland. They were both there, and it was the last time that they would meet. Their meeting may be seen as a metaphysical exchange between friends marked by human warmth and humor. And here is how Thich Nhat Hanh described their meeting. Dr. King was staying on the 11th floor. I was on the 4th floor. He invited me up for breakfast. On my way, I was detained by the press, so I arrived late. He had kept the breakfast warm for me and had waited for me. I greeted him. Dr. King, Dr. King, Dr. Hahn, he replied. We were able to continue our discussion of peace, freedom, and community, and what kinds of steps America could take to end the war. And we agreed that without a community, we cannot go very far. Without a happy, harmonious community, we will not be able to realize our dream. They both completely knew what they were facing into. And they knew you could only do it with other people, and it came from the root of happiness. I said to him, Martin, do you know something? This is Thich Nhat Hanh. In Vietnam, they call you a bodhisattva, an enlightened being trying to awaken other living beings and help them move towards more compassion and understanding. I'm glad I had a chance to tell him that, because just a few months later, he was assassinated in Memphis. The importance of community was a mutual value for the two men. Nhat Hanh tells King that he was viewed as a great bodhisattva in Vietnam, an enlightened being with the quality of awakening compassion in others. And that's when it goes on to say that Thich Nhat Hanh called lots of other people bodhisattvas. I mean, not lots of other people, but common people, ordinary people. Nhat Hanh is advancing his ideas of the restoration and reformation of Buddhism by his expansion of the beings who may be venerated as bodhisattvas. It's you, and it's me. And every now and then an example comes along, and we say, oh, that's it. And then it makes us want to live a little straighter and taller and bigger. With Nhat Hanh, the concept is completely inclusive. All human life, all life we recognize as sentient, all beings of the cosmos are bodhisattvas. And as to what King made of Nhat Hanh's message during their Geneva meeting, I can only join my hopes to those of Nhat Hanh's that it was a comfort to King as he faced the challenge of what would be the last months of his life. So here's just a little bit more. Thich Nhat Hanh's reaction to Martin Luther King's death. The day after King's, I have been to the mountaintop speech, he was assassinated on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. With him were several close friends and co-workers in the civil rights movement, including Andrew Young, Ralph Abernathy, and Jesse Jackson. The morning after hearing the news, Thich Nhat Hanh wrote a broken-hearted letter to his and King's mutual friend Ralph Gould, one of the directors of the Fellowship of Reconciliation. This is what he said. I did not sleep last night. They killed Martin Luther King. They killed us. I am afraid the root of violence is so deep in the heart and mind and manner of this society. They killed him. They killed my hope. I don't know what to say. He made so great an impression on me. This morning I have the impression that I cannot bear the loss. It was a way these two human beings met. It was really extraordinary. Years later, Thich Nhat Hanh recalled, I was in New York when I heard the news of his assassination, and I was devastated. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I made a deep vow to continue building what he called the beloved community, not only for myself, but for him also. I have done what I promised to Martin Luther King Jr., and I think I have always felt his support. Commentary here is, one does not make a deep vow to continue a great work of someone at a great remove, but rather to continue the work of someone one loves. The friendship between Nhat Hanh and King in the world we access with our senses spans a short period of time from 1965 to 1968. The points of contact between the two men over that slender skein of years is equally meager. Yet Nhat Hanh's 2014 statement about King is suffused with the warmth and the friendship of brotherhood. I think I wanted to read that, one, because it's extraordinary, and two, I think it's also what I experienced on this pilgrimage, is people who just completely, openly, and wholeheartedly met us in suffering and love. And that it was really important. Bearing witness is really important. Bearing witness to our own suffering, bearing witness to the suffering of the people around us and in the world. And I think it's one of the beautiful things about sitting Zazen, and about Sangha, and about practice together, is it does allow us, we become, I think, much more strong, or maybe I should say that myself. I feel more strength and uprightness from a lifetime of practice, but I also feel a really deep capacity to be tender and to let my heart break and to not turn away. And somehow the fact that Thich Nhat Hanh and Martin Luther King, in such small moments, they knew it and they trusted it. That's what they both trusted their lives to. Inspires me. Just like somehow coming here today, you all inspire me to be able to say being a human being is an amazing thing. Having a human life is amazing, and we have no idea what we're going to be asked to turn towards in this life. Well, we do. Everything we love, the five remembrances. Everything and everyone we love will be lost. It's all impermanent. And it's also what makes it so completely wondrous. And the amazingness that we can go beyond ourselves together in beloved community. I just think, I'm so glad I got COVID, because it might not have gone in as deeply as I feel like it did. So whatever our suffering is, you know, it's like, it's okay. It's all part of it, because it's all part of the wonder of, Elaine and Sherry gave me these little supplements before I left to take with me. It was this little essential oil in a little blue bottle. And I was in the middle of all of this, and I was feeling terrible, and I couldn't think, but I would take this little bottle out, and it was this oil, and you rub it on your belly. It was so sweet that you were all through that little, and a couple of little supplement pills, and anyway, we help each other in ways we can't even begin to imagine through our just small acts of kindness. So don't underestimate. I think Thich Nhat says in Being Peace, or maybe it was Lotus Sutra, it's all confused in my mind, is don't think you're powerless. It matters, and you matter, and your practice matters. And loving matters, and letting your heart be broken matters. Is just don't make it small. It's amazing to have the opportunity to do and be what we're living. So I think that's all I have to say at the moment. Thank you for listening to me. And now I'm curious.